Beautifully done. Thank you. I've missed you. It's good to be back. Yeah. So I have to tell you that I really avoid bringing current events into my sharing with you unless there's really something important to glean from what's going on in the world that isn't apparent on the surface. But this one absolutely has got me, so I want to talk about for a moment about the folks that lost their lives recently, at least their physical expression hit in Charleston, South Carolina. A heinous act that someone would go in and pray with people for an hour and then do such a thing. And to think it happened so close to us on our ministers' listserv, one of them tried to explain that this was in Charleston, North Carolina, and I very quickly corrected them because I didn't want to put that close a distance to me in that event. But the truth is that it happened to all of us. Yeah. So, one way that we as ministers in our movement communicate is through this thing called a listserv. And this week, one of my colleagues put a letter out as this was unfolding. In fact, I'm sure there were hundreds of emails about this, but this one really captured me, so I want to share it with you. It comes from Reverend Dr. Francis Lorenz, who is the senior minister of Center for Spiritual Living in Tacoma, Washington, on the other side of the country. I live on Hilltop, a Tacoma, Washington neighborhood that began as a mixed-race community. In the 1980s and 90s, Hilltop was known for its gangs and its upheaval. My husband and I have worked for years to improve our neighborhood. In the heart of Hilltop is the Allen AME Church, the largest stakeholder in the Hilltop Business District. It has a new pastor who has become a great friend to me and my husband. Our church is in the North Slope neighborhood at the corner of North J Street and Division Avenue. Allen AME is located 12 blocks away on Martin Luther King Way and about 4 blocks from where my husband and I reside. This past Thursday morning, I attended a Hilltop Business Association meeting where Pastor Anthony Steele announced that Allen AME would be hosting a prayer vigil service that night from 6 to 7:30 p.m. The slain minister in Charleston was a personal friend and colleague of Pastor Anthony, and his congregation was stunned and saddened by the senseless violence and loss. Unbeknownst to me, after the business meeting, my husband, who is a practitioner at our center, met for an hour with Pastor Anthony, reflecting upon the Charleston tragedy and sharing my vision for changing the name of Division Avenue. Division Avenue. For decades, Division Avenue in Tacoma was a symbol of the division between blacks and whites, between rich and poor, and between the safe and crime-ridden neighborhoods of Hilltop. Since I became the minister here, I wanted to change the name of that avenue, but I needed the perfect timing of communities on both sides of division to want to come together in unity. In 17 years of community work, Hilltop has been transformed into the safest neighborhood in all of Tacoma. Many have worked to bring peace to our neighborhoods and help the police to have better relationships with the community and especially with our young people. My board was scheduled to meet Thursday night at the same time as the vigil, but I contacted each board member and asked them to move the meeting up a week so we could attend the vigil. They agreed. We showed up in solidarity for AME. The entire Tacoma community turned out for the vigil. House and Senate representatives, state representatives, city council members, the city manager, and members from over 20 congregations. I sat with my board on the same row with a rabbi. Our interfaith citywide organization, Associated Ministers, was represented. A large banner hung from the altar that said, "We are here to do God's business." We sang gospel songs with the Allen AME choir, hugged and greeted each other, and various ministers spoke about the continuing need for conversations on racism. The central spiritual message was God is still in charge. The public was allowed to speak. Members of various congregations were asked to stand, but not ours. At the end of the program, all the clergy members were invited up on the stage. I went up, and as I hugged Pastor Anthony, I whispered in his ear that we had postponed our board meeting to be there. He went back to the mic and asked all the people from Center for Spiritual Living to please stand, and then told everyone gathered about my dream of changing the name of Division Avenue to Vision Avenue as a symbolic action to eliminate the division of Tacoma. I want you to look at Reverend Francis, he said, with his arm around me. Let's end division in Tacoma. When I walked off stage, dozens of people, black and white, stepped forward and volunteered to support the effort to change the name to Vision Avenue. It seemed the timing of this symbolic action has arrived. I was struck by the words of Bren Brown, whose blog was shared on the minister listserv this week. She said, "When we deny the story, it defines us. When we own the story, we can write a brave new ending." As Pastor Anthony of AME said to me, your idea is out in the atmosphere now. It begins with one person at a time, one community at a time. It begins with an intention to heal racial division in our country and in the world. Thank you, Reverend Francis. So I give you a thought. What if those 9 beloveds in Charleston, South Carolina were not victims, but wayshowers? Yes. What if, with great intention, they gave their physical experience up to teach us something? And what if Francis Lorenz heard them and took action? So the question to ask is, what are we to learn from these great wayshowers? There's something there for all of us. So thank you for indulging me this. This was important to me, and I wanted to share it. So everybody take a big, deep breath. This is what I get, Nancy, for giving you a topic early in the week. I want to shift our energy to this idea. Maybe not. Maybe it all carries together. To this idea that of what Barbara has done, turning this community upside down. What is all this stuff about no debt? What is all this stuff about changing the way we function in the world? Yeah, I know. We all agreed to that when we came into this place, that we were going to be challenged to live a different kind of life, to open up to possibilities. And certainly it's happening. It's happening. So debt-free, what a concept. So knowing that that was kind of where we're going, that we're all looking at this idea of having our mortgages paid off, about being debt-free. You know, and I love to tell people that I live debt-free, but you know, I use credit cards. I always pay them off when the bill comes, but I still use them. And you could argue that from the time that they swipe that card till the time I send that check in, I have debt. But I at least pay it off all without paying interest, so that's really nice. Yet, we all seek this thing called living debt-free. And even if we believe that we are debt-free, we all have desires. We all want something of life. Is there anybody here that just doesn't want anything? I've asked that question so many times and never had a hand raised. And I appreciate your honesty with that, because we all want something. We're here. We're here on planet Earth in these bodies. We must want something. So how do you get it? Well, there are a lot of people who have written a lot about this. And I've read a bunch of that stuff. And there's great wisdom in what they say. But I, of course, had to put together my own list out of how it works in my life and how I've seen other people succeed with it. And that's what I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you 7 steps. Hey, it wouldn't be me if we didn't have a list, right? So we're taking these on one at a time. And they're probably, you'll hear these things, you go, I've already heard this, I know this. But let's go ahead and indulge me once more in kind of going through this and see if there isn't something that we all pick up that we can use in how we're structuring our lives and what we're doing. So we start, of course, with number one. Take 100% responsibility for our lives. 100%. And many of you would go, well, I do. And I want to caution you with that, being so certain that you do. Because there are many things that we do almost unconsciously that really keep us out of that taking 100%. Anytime we blame anybody for anything, even for a moment, anytime we criticize, anytime we find fault in ourselves or in somebody else, are we really taking 100% responsibility? Or do we think that somehow that outside thing had something to do with what's going on in our lives? But the truth is that we are 100% responsible, whether we're willing to accept it or not, for everything that's happening in our lives. Every circumstance, every situation. And our minds want to challenge that. Well, I had nothing to do with that person going through that or saying that to me or that person dying. I had nothing to do with that. Well, sure you did. You're here on planet Earth. If it's somebody close, you chose to have a relationship with that person. Therefore, you were in total collusion with them on what you're experiencing out of their experience. And if you didn't know them, but if you have feelings like I had about what happened in Charleston this week, it did not happen separate from me. At some level, that's my experience of life, that such a thing could still happen on a planet where I live. And it's much easier to look at it happening over in the Middle East where, we can say, well, those people are just crazy. But a person that only lived an hour from here could do such a thing? How could that be? Well, that's our work. And that calls us to consciously take responsibility for our lives and how we live our lives. Because how we live our lives influences how everyone else lives their lives. Don't think that you're separate. You're not. We are all in this together. And what we can do is we can look at our experience and how we express in life and work from that. And if we want to achieve the things that we say we're here to achieve, we have to start with this and say whatever happens, it's our doing. There are plenty of experiences in my life I'd love to deny. I'd love to say it was them. But it was me. It was me that was experiencing it. So I can't do that. I have to say, where can I find the presence of the divine in that? So that I can see very clearly that it's mine. How is life talking to me? And what does life want me to know? We can extrapolate a lot of things from those 9 beloveds that passed in Charleston. The biggest one to me is to be in integrity with my actions, to know who I am, and to stand up for what I believe. And that helps me. And that tells me that perhaps these people, if we'll all do a little of that, will not have died in vain. That they will be here to help us see that it's time to look at life a little different. It's time to be a little clearer about who we are. And I love Francis's story about it, how it called her to take an action she'd wanted to for years, but couldn't, didn't know how. And this was it. 100% responsibility for everything that's going on in your life. So the topic is to get what you want. Take 100% responsibility and you're on the path. I know I harp on this, but it's summertime and we're getting ready to do our summer prosperity work, and in that we always talk about purpose. If you don't know why you're here, how can you possibly head in that direction? And I would suggest that you all do know why you're here. You may not have put it into words. You may not have a phrase that you can repeat, but you all have a reason for being here. I encourage you to find words that can contain at least the essence somewhat of what it is you're here to do, so that you can tell yourself that and remind yourself. The idea of purpose is so that everything else you do in your life is in alignment with that thing, so that you know where you're going. It's the whole point. We can't get where we want to get if we don't know where we're going. So we have a purpose. Rumi speaks of it so clearly and says that we must do what we are here to do. If we do 1,000 other things, it doesn't matter. We are here to do specific work, specific things. And only we can define that. No one else can define it for us. I have tried to get other people to define it for me, and it has never worked for me. I had to do it for myself. And when it came to me clearly what my purpose was, I realized that's what I'd always been doing. I just didn't know it. So it really helped me. And now that's my litmus test for everything I do in my life, is in alignment with my purpose, which is to reveal and release the power of divine presence wherever I am and whatever I do. If I'm doing something that aligns with that idea, then I'm good. And frankly, I'm happy. And when I'm not, when I'm doing something else, I'm usually not happy. I'm not near happy enough. So I invite you, know your purpose. Know it and live by it. Use it as the guidepost for your life. Move in that direction in everything that you do. And when you get off course, just remember and get back on course. No damage done. Nothing goes in a straight line. And we do our best by knowing our purpose. Why don't you switch to that next one, Mark? And I'll figure out what I did to this in the meantime. Know what you want and commit to having it. Finally, number 3, we're getting to the point. The thing that I need to tell you about this is, having worked with so many people in my life, I recognize with absolute certainty that many people don't know what they want. They're very clear about what they don't want. And they can tell you all about it, about that thing they want out of their life right now. And when I say, but what do you want? They say, I want this thing gone. As though getting to that neutral point of having the thing we don't want gone would somehow make our lives work, and it won't. It won't. If we focus on what we want, if we use that inner guidance of desire to direct us, and we move in that direction, the thing we don't want will go away. It has to go away. But if we focus on not wanting it, it's like Rocking Bear told me, and all of you have heard this: tie a rope around a tree and pull on that rope, screaming at the tree to let go. That doesn't work. It doesn't work well. I mean, eventually your arms will get tired and you'll let go and fall backwards, but you're exhausted by then. Why go through all the exhaustion? Know what you want and focus on that, and then commit to it. Because the committing to it is what will make it work. Now here's something we all do that gets in our way of focusing on the great desire, the great dream of our lives. Let's go to the next one. Here we got some of those? Yeah, Barbara's got a nap. Not that knowing what you want to do is a bad idea, but most of us don't put the most important thing on the list. We put the stuff we want to get done and out of our way on the list because it's annoying, because we want to clean up all the loose ends in our lives. Nothing wrong with that, but what it does is it distracts us into a list of things to do rather than that which we are, which we can be, which we can fully engage in to make that difference in the world that we've come to make, to live our purpose. Now, if you want to use one of these lists and you're really insisting on it, then make sure the first line on that is that big dream of yours and that you're taking some action on it every day. That's the only way this works. Otherwise, this will divert all of your attention away from where you really want to be. And you'll have all your little loose ends done, and all your papers will be filed, and everything will be in a nice order, and you'll have nothing. And your dream, that thing that you're living for, will just be a good idea. Does that kind of hit you? Yeah. And good ideas are a dime a dozen. But actually creating something wonderful in your life, now that's an accomplishment. Living according to your purpose, now that's something. Okay, so that's where we are. Know what you want and commit to having it. The committing part is essential. And not only committing to, you're not committing to the wanting of it, you're committing to the having of it. I'm committed to have this in my life. I'm committed to create this in my life. I'm committed to doing this or being this or however you phrase it. The point is that it's no longer living in the desire. The desire is great because it directs us, but then we must take action. And it begins with commitment. Commitment's the point where we begin the journey. We have done all of our preparation work by taking 100% responsibility for everything that happens, by knowing our purpose, and now by taking that desire, that wanting, which is in complete alignment with our purpose, and committing to it. Now we're on the road. Now we're finding our way. You got to believe in it. You got to see that it makes a difference. And oftentimes, I've never known anybody that could do that effectively and have it only do with them. It's just about me. This is what I want. It's just about me. It's never just about us. We don't do anything separate. As I have told you many times, if we were supposed to live separately in our lives and we didn't need anybody else, then we would all have our own planets, because there's plenty of planets out there where life can sustain itself, and we'd all just be on our own planet. But that's not the way it works. The way it works is that we're here together. And nobody ever succeeded in life by themselves. It always took more than one person. It always took the energy and the essence of life itself to bring that forward. So believe in that. Whatever it is that you've got in your mind that is yours to do, doesn't matter how big or small it is, believe in it. Know that it makes the world a better place. At whatever level, the world will be better because of it. And now you've got something with great substance that you can rely on as a direction for your life. You must equally, if not more so, believe in yourself. And if there's anything the science of mind does, is it gives you the tools to believe in yourself. We keep telling you that you're the presence of God. And Charlie will tell you to act like it. Because believing in who you are and that you are here to do that specific work that is yours to do, to bring a change to life itself, as only you can, has to be built into you. You must believe in yourself. If you doubt yourself, then you are your biggest enemy. You are your biggest struggle. But by believing in yourself and believing in your dream, those things that looked like walls that went all the way up into the clouds will just dissipate into nothingness. Because nothing is bigger than you. Nothing in your life is bigger than you. This whole idea that we have problems is just not real. Our problems are never things that are going on the outside. We keep looking out there and going, well, if it wasn't for this and this and this, I could do whatever I wanted. That's a lie. You already can do whatever you want. There's a part of you that knows that. There's another part of you that wants to keep you from doing that because, bless your heart, you could get hurt. Oh, get hurt. Really. It's okay to get a little hurt. I don't know anybody that created anything great that didn't go through some pain. Okay? Whatever it takes. Go there. That's certainly been my experience, and I got the scars to prove it. And I have no regrets. None whatsoever. We all have something to contribute to the whole. So believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. And surround you with people that can believe in you. That'll make the difference. Unleash the power of your intention. The power of your intention is extraordinary. And this is how it works. Certainly you want the dream to manifest in its wholeness. But chances are there's some spaces between now and that, and there's some things and some steps to accomplish. So set your intention to achieve the whole, but also set your intention to achieve the next step. Because that's the thing you're going to get the most out of right now. Whatever it is, trust me, I'm talking to myself right now. This whole talk is about me. But if it's about me, it's about you. So set your goals way out there for whatever it is that you're claiming to create as an outcome in your life. But what's the interim step? The first step to do. And when you get there, celebrate it. Because it's your intention, your clarity that will create that outcome in your life. And the seventh step is to stay with it, no matter what. I have heard people say that. I'm going to do this no matter what. And every time I have said so clearly in my mind, they're going to do this. Because they're saying they're going to do it no matter what. And you know what? I don't know of anyone that ever used that phrase, no matter what, with total sincerity, that didn't achieve what they were setting their mind to. Because nothing was too big. Nothing could get in their way and change their direction. They knew where they were going, and they were getting there no matter what. So think about those words and how they may apply in your life. Are you willing to say that this thing that you are called to be, do, or have can be achieved no matter what? If you can, it's yours. It's yours. So go with it just like that. These are some interesting ideas. And they're reading differently in every single person in this room, or anyone that's watching this video. It's ringing differently because there's a different set of circumstances and conditions and outcomes and purposes. And that's the beauty of life, because we fit together like a mosaic of possibilities. And what we create is amazing. One of my colleagues said last week, I was in Oakland, California, doing a graduation ceremony, and spoke of our passed on colleague, a great leader in this movement, Fred Vogt, and said that the advice that she was given by Fred was that you'll never be happy with what you achieve in a year, but you'll be amazed with what you can get done in 10. Think about that. So don't let the apparency that you're not progressing stop you or make you think less of who you are and what you're doing. Because on the long haul, doing what you're doing will truly make a difference in your life and the lives of those that you love. And isn't that worth doing? Isn't that what we want in life? Is to be who we've come here to be? It's all about love. So thank you for who you are. Thank you for hearing me today. Thank you for this amazing journey of love and light that we are catapulted into. Let's keep going. I love you very much. God bless you.